Hi, I'm Jeremy Caplan. I write the Wonder Tools newsletter, and my focus for this video is tools for 2025 that are helping me to stay on track, get done what I aim to get done. If you haven't read Wonder Tools, you'll see more about these tools in the most recent post. Basically, I'm going to share 5 simple ideas. The first is you can take the opportunity at the beginning of the new year to restart your morning approach, or rethink how you do your mornings. A lot of us, including myself, look at task lists with 100 tasks on them and get overwhelmed. Key learning for me recently has been that diving in and just starting off really doesn't work. A lot of times my inclination is just to get started. Start with emails, start with whatever tasks are top of mind. And actually, that's not efficient as a strategy for me. So I want to share with you what works more effectively for me. Starting with a planning session. So taking 10, 15 minutes in the morning or the night before, thinking about what are the 3 big things I need to get done? What are the 3 big areas of focus, 3 big projects? And what are the 3 specific tasks I can actually focus on in the time I have allotted the next day? What matters most is really the key issue. And going from 10 or 15 or 20 things to 3 really forces me to prioritize and to ensure that I can get done something that's really important. The next thing is planning, actually. So putting those things on the calendar. That's what timeboxing is about, which I wrote about last week. It's about deciding what goes when. So when are you going to do the things you're going to do? How long are they going to take, which requires some time estimation, and putting them actually on the calendar so that you can focus just on one thing at a time. The third part of this toolkit in terms of the framework is to practice actually deep focus while you're doing those tasks, doing only one thing, and then reflecting at the end of the day on what's actually working. So putting these 3 things together, it's basically about prioritization. So preparing, laying out the key tasks that you're actually going to do and blocking out the other ones. Oftentimes I like the framework, eat the frog, doing the biggest, most challenging thing first when I have my full focused attention, usually in the morning, then planning out actually when those things are going to happen on the day. You can start with just planning a part of the day, not the entire day. So just a morning, for example, and then following through with that practice throughout the day. The tools I use for this are very simple ones. Apple Reminders is great. Google Tasks, if you're on the Google platform, they're free, they're easy to use, and they do almost anything you can need them to do as a basic task manager. You can use them on mobile devices. You can use them on multiple devices. You can use them to send material from other apps into your task list. Sunsama is the more advanced tool that I do use. This is a tool I've really enjoyed using because it's my headquarters for planning the day. You can do this on paper. You can do this in simpler ways, but here's what I like about Sunsama. You start with the daily planning mode. So what do you actually want to get done today? And these are the top key priorities you have. And then you can pull them in. If you have task lists that you're using from Trello or Asana or Todoist or some other app, you can pull them in. And then you can put them on the calendar. So this is the time boxing part. So you can actually drag them directly onto calendar. You have an estimate of how long they're going to take. Later on, you can actually see how you're doing. You can analyze that. So in addition to pulling in tasks, which stay in sync with your task manager, you can actually pull in emails and schedule those. If you need time to work on those, you can pull in stuff from Slack. You can sync your calendar. So when you add things on Sunsama, it gets added to your calendar too. And then you can make it look the way you want. You can try it for free. It's pretty easy to get started with. It's not a free tool though. So you'll have to pay for a subscription if it ends up being useful for you. You can also do something completely free and much simpler, which is use a paper roadmap. Some days I don't want to be planning on the screen. I'll just sit down with a piece of paper, divide it into 4, map out the key priorities of the day, and map out the timing on paper. Second thing, after refreshing your morning routine, is smartening up your calendar. You can do this in a lot of different ways, mainly by thinking of your calendar as your planning tool. So instead of just dumping tasks into a task manager, think of the task manager as a way station to your calendar so that the calendar is really holding what you can actually do because it holds the actual time you have available. So this is the concept of time boxing. There are a lot of new tools that are interesting for calendar management. Vimcal, Akiflow, Motion, Fantastical are all really good. So you can use natural language and say, I want to meet Pat at noon on Thursday to do this project, and we're going to meet at this place. You can just use that natural language and it's on your calendar automatically, as opposed to using an old school tool like Outlook or Google Calendar, where you have to do more of that manually. Notion Calendar also is an interesting tool if you're in the Notion ecosystem. I also mentioned Superhuman here, which is my email tool. because it's really helpful at now scheduling things from within an email. So if you get an invite, if you get a message that mentions a particular time, or if you need to invite someone else, you can connect now your calendar with your email by using Superhuman, which works really well. The key takeaway, regardless of which tool you use, even if you stick to the simplest possible calendar tool, or even if you use a paper calendar, is to box your time, meaning allocate the tasks onto the calendar in particular time boxes. That ensures that you're not aiming to do 500 things if you actually only have time for 5. And then track your time. See how much time you're actually spending on things so you know the next time you're planning to how long you can expect to spend on particular tasks. The next part of this focus stack is sticking to your vision. So once you have the plan, your alert brain, your smart brain in the morning or the night before has planned out this day. Now you need your dumber brain or tired brain or just routine day brain to actually stick to this. And this is one of the most challenging parts of getting things done and staying productive and staying focused. One key is deciding once. So rather than deciding throughout the day what you're going to be doing, you decide once and you lay out the plan and then you just execute on that plan. You can use a method like Pomodoro timing where you set a 25-minute timer and you do a sprint. You do one core thing for those 25 minutes and then take a couple minutes to relax, let your brain recharge, get some fresh air, look out the window, do all of those things. You can also use an old school sand timer. I have one on my desk. You can use a very simple sand timer instead of a digital timer to keep you on track and to keep your eye focused on the time you have remaining for that particular task. I like using focus music. I use Headspace and Calm, which have never-ending supplies of concentration music without lyrics. You can use other tools like Coffeetivity. There's a lot of different tools that allow you to listen to sounds that are ambient sounds of nature or of a cafe to keep you on track and help you block out whatever might otherwise distract you in terms of sounds in your environment. I also have been doing something brand new this year, which is measuring focus. I'm using a pair of new Neurable MW75 headphones, and they are basically measuring my focus. So these headphones, which look like what you're seeing here, are very much like any other high-end noise canceling headphones. And they're very expensive. So they're not a discount product. It's a luxury product, but it's a scientific instrument really that's measuring your focus. It's measuring your brain waves much like an EEG machine would, but without all of those cords around your head. And it's giving you a score. It's kind of telling you when you're at your best, helping you understand when you're at your best, and also giving you alerts when it's time to take a break, which is one of the really important values it offers. So when you're diminishing your focus, time to take a stretch break, time to take a walking break, time to switch focus to something simpler for a bit. And this Neurable set of headphones, which is brand new, has been really useful for me, and I do recommend them. Next up, experiment with some new tools. So here's some of the tools I really am enjoying and finding useful for my own focus. One is this simple timer. I've recommended this before. It just sits on my desk. It basically just tells me how much time I have left for a task, and I can flip it to a different side to switch to a 5-minute interval for something else or 20-minute interval. I find that having the timer going and being able to see it is a reminder that I want to give devoted attention to this task, but for a limited time. Next one is my Oura Ring. This is just a way to keep track of my resilience and how much I've slept, how much fitness I've done. And I find that all of those things are connected with focus. And I love being able to do that without a screen. I found that Oura is the best way for me to do that. I'm also testing a new pendant. This is called a limitless pendant. And this basically allows me to share memos, share ideas with myself, remind myself of things without having to pull up a screen. It's just in early testing, so it's not really working super well yet, but I'm optimistic about the idea of being able to just remind myself of things, make notes without a screen, just having this pendant to keep track of some thoughts that I want to remember later. Wakeout is another tool I use almost every day when I'm working out. I just pull up on my phone the Wakeout app and set a 1-minute or 3-minute or 5-minute break, basically getting stretching, getting exercise, even in my office here, standing at my desk or at home in my apartment. I find it just a good way to keep exercise happening in little tiny bites throughout the day if I don't have time for a full workout. The exercises are really easy. They're really fun. They're shown with little GIFs. They're normal people doing them, so you don't have to be an exercise pro. You can just do whatever little exercise you want, and the little bits add up over time. I like talking to my phone as a way of remembering things and also as a way of getting my ideas out. So if I'm focusing on something and I want to get a quick head start, I can use Letterly to basically talk out my idea and get a draft already started into nice form. It transcribes what I'm saying and then it transforms that into an outline or into a draft, into a summary, whatever I'm working on. I find that that helps with my focus because it gets me to the stage where I can do my own editing, my own further thinking after starting with my voice. There's now a desktop version as well and a web version. So there's a lot of different ways to use this, even if you don't want to use it on your phone. Headspace is another one I use all the time for just 1 minute breaks, 1 minute meditation, mindfulness, but also for background focus music. You can try it for free. It's not a free tool entirely, although there's a discount for educators and students. On my desktop, I really like Raycast, which is one of those tools that lets me stay focused on what I'm doing by using a quick keyboard shortcut to get something else done, whether it's doing a quick calculation, adding a task to my list of tasks, adding something to my calendar, opening some other app really quickly and easily. Raycast is a great free tool, and I highly recommend it. I also recommend a new note-taking tool I'm going to be writing about this year, which is Lazy. It's lazy.so. It allows you to capture notes and ideas and highlights from anything you're doing on your computer. So if you're in email and you get something important, you can quickly capture it with annotations and details. You can highlight something on YouTube or on an article you're reading. It's really easy to pull it up and take a note. It's a smarter, quicker, faster way to grab notes. It's become one of my key note-taking tools. Finally, the last of these 5 tips is to reflect at the end of the day and to iterate. I have been trying just to do 5 minutes with 3 questions. What worked today? And to give myself a pat on the back for something good that I did, something efficient, something effective, something that I accomplished. What didn't work? So where did my time estimates go wrong? Where did I get sidetracked? And what led to that so that I can look for those triggers in the future? And then what's next? What's top of mind? What should I be focusing on for tomorrow? What do I need to bring to wherever I'm going? What do I need to think about and reflect on so that I can take the next actions on whatever I'm doing next? Those are the 3 key questions. The last thing I would say is to keep tools simple. I've mentioned a bunch of different tools, and sometimes we use sophisticated tools for various parts of our workflows. But ultimately, it's not about the tools, it's about the tactics and just actually getting stuff done by focusing on one thing at a time. You don't need a lot of tools, right? A simple task manager, a simple calendar tool will be fine. If you found any of these tools useful, I'd love to hear about what's working for you or what isn't working for you or what you do differently that works for you. Check out Wonder Tools if you want to read more about any of these tools or these workflows or practices that I've talked about, wondertools.substack.com. Thanks a lot for watching.